Alright everybody, welcome to our first actual bit of sponsored content here on the channel. The developers of Barricades got in touch with me and wanted me to do one of my design features for their game. So things are going to be a little bit different here. We're going to be doing two videos on the game. The first one that you're watching now is kind of the consumer, more first look piece. And then I'm going to have the more design and how to play video coming really soon after it. Let me know what you think about the style, and if you're a developer want me to take a special look at your game, let me know and definitely get in touch. But Barricades is described as kind of a towerless tower defense game. You play as that lovely robot in the middle there, who is tasked with defending the remaining baby on planet Earth after what appears to be one massive apocalypse from an unending waves and waves of zombies and mutants that come from those creatures you see in the background there. So, the game itself is set up day style in terms of its progression. Each day is split between the daytime and nighttime sections, with the daytime allowing you to build and properly prepare, and then at night you must use your defenses to either kill or delay the zombies until morning, in which they are all destroyed. So, the game is essentially kind of built around three different gameplay loops. You're watching right now the defense system, as the zombies right now in the early parts start only on the left side of the screen, but as you play, and you'll see this later on, new zombie types and situations will be introduced. During the day, you'll have to mine out the varying layers that are underneath your base, and this appears to be somewhat, I think, either randomly or procedurally generated. But as with games of this kind, the deeper you go, the harder it will be to mine, as well as the higher quality resources you're going to find. Now, each area or each kind of layer has a base that you can, or bunkers that you can find bonus resources, and you're going to be spending a whole lot of time down there gathering your resources. And the reason for that is that the third kind of system in Barricades is crafting. The game has a system, or has two major crafting elements. You have the forge, which allows you to break down or create crafting materials, and then the workbench that lets you then build them. And as you play, you're going to have to be constantly building resources and things you'll need to kind of prepare for nightfall. And the game features multiple traps that can be set up to kind of create almost like I almost describe it almost like a Home Alone kind of, just setting up all these things that keep these enemies at bay. Now, if you are hoping for kind of the laning or being able to maze the zombies, the bad news is that only the smaller or more like mutant type enemies are designed to climb and move around walls and floors. And as with games of this kind, as you move forward in the days, the complexity definitely grows as well as the difficulty. And I do like the kind of trap system in the game, as you are given full reign to figure out how you want to set up your various defenses. As you can see here, I have a double pendulum that is set up to just rip and tear most enemies who get close, while over here we have the endless barricade of sandbags to kind of force those guys to take the longest possible route to get to the baby there. And obviously these defenses will have to be updated and changed as you play more into the game to accommodate for new zombie types and kind of growing the challenge. And what the game does is that there is a form of progression in the form of the engrams. As you kill zombies, you'll gain these engrams, which are used to unlock either new functionality, make it easier to gather resources, or upgrade your traps. And this is a very big deal about the game, as the level 1 traps, especially the spikes, are kind of worthless. They're not going to really do all that much to help you. Get those traps to level 3 and then upgrade their abilities, and they can dominate, as I've seen. And this essentially creates this three-way dynamic of how the game plays. You're going to go into the underground sections to mine resources and find things that you need to then take back to your base here in order to craft, and then use the crafting materials to either upgrade what you have or build new things, which in turn will then allow you to better defend against the zombies and the oncoming waves. Now, with all that said, I do like the gameplay loops of Barricades. I think it has a really great sense of progression. As you watch your base grow, as you dig more and more into the base layer, and of course the escalating waves of zombies. With that said, we're going to do our quick break now, and when we come back, I want to talk about a few of the nitpicks that I have with the game, and kind of set ourselves up for when we do our design analysis on Barricades in the next video. And now for a quick shout out to our current Game Wisdom supporters and sponsors. Going forward, all Patreon supporters will get early access to our videos. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, link down below. If you're looking for more wisdom about game design, be sure to check out my latest offering of books, 20 Essential Games to Study, aimed for first-time developers and students looking for some inspiration for their upcoming games, and Game Design Deep Dive Platformers if you're interested in anything regarding 2D and 3D platforming design. They're both available in print, digital, and wherever books are being sold. Barricades is currently in early access, so what you see may not represent the current version of it, but I did play far enough to kind of see where the gameplay loop goes. So, the first kind of thing to keep in mind is that because of the wave-based system, it means that if you're going to restart the game or get stuck, you're going to have to repeat a lot of the earlier content. And I don't know if at the moment there is enough, variance or complexity of how things are set up to keep you interested to come back in that regard. Now, I like the various trap designs in the game and how they can be set up to accommodate or use different kinds of setups, but they're still, I think, to some extent limited in terms of what you can do. The issue is that the zombies or larger humanoid style enemies always will go in one direction, and if they can't go that way, they're going to attack and destroy anything that gets in their way. So you can't do anything crazy. Like in my first play of the game, I tried to set up spring floors to just launch them in different directions, and it just proved to just be ineffective. Now, from a UI standpoint, the game is serviceable, although it does have that very annoying element that only things in your inventory count towards crafting. So as you can see, even though I have 2 chests there, it's always that case of, okay, did I forget to bring the right resource? Let me go back, repeat, and so on. Now, as I said at the end of the last part, I really like the kind of 3 forms of gameplay with the crafting, mining, and zombie defense. But I do wish that there was a little more connection between the systems, as in being able to construct things that could help you mine better or do more in the underground, finding things in the underground that can help you more out in the top side. As I said, you can find bunkers that give you special items or can basically get you access to higher tier stuff earlier. But once you found them, they're just very limited in their use, and the majority of your time is just going to be spent digging down. Now, with the trap setup here, this is kind of, I guess we would consider this mid-game of what's in Barricades right now. According to the page, the game is set to end on day 28. And the difficulty definitely begins to spike or grow at day 7 with the introduction of newer enemy types and the fact that you have to defend on the right side. But as with games of this kind, it runs into that case that once you've got a good groove going, as you can see right here, they're not going to be doing much to get past me. And it basically works until it doesn't. And that's what happened at the end of day 14 when I wasn't really prepared for what was coming. And I think the game could do a better job of giving you an idea of what to expect. Ultimately, you're going to need to set up almost identical defenses on both the left and right side of your base. And that just is simply because of the enemy types that are coming in. From an onboarding perspective, the game I don't think does a good enough job of properly preparing you and kind of explaining what you can and can't do. As a good example, the game hints at being able to set or launch smaller enemies onto by setting up kind of a floating island of a wall. I could not figure out what they meant to do that. And how things work is that you need to have things connected because they're not just going to stay in the air floating forever. So the kind of wire fence that you see underneath me right there lets zombies and creatures pass through it, but allows you to build things higher up. And basically this defense line that I set up kind of just locked down the left side of the base completely. But unfortunately it wasn't enough to stop the right side, so I just kept building that endless wall. You can see my minimap down there. But as the game progresses, it does force you to kind of redesign and reconfigure your base to deal with these greater threats. In day 14 here, I had to set up more defense on the right side because these little critters were just not going to stop. And like I said, due to how the game is designed, you're going to, once you've set up a defense, it is going to work until it doesn't. And because you can't freeze time during the night sections, you are going to have to kind of restart the day. Now, the game does give you a sense of persistence, at least at this moment, that if you restart the game, you are able to keep half of your total engrams that you've unlocked in the previous run. Basically allowing you to start with far more things unlocked. And while I think that is a great compensation for people who have to restart, again, I don't know if at this moment in time, if there is enough content here to get somebody to keep playing the game after they've either lost or have seen everything there is. I would love to see or allow for more trap combinations or synergies. What you see me doing right here is trying to set up a 2-line defense, but the traps still kind of operate on their own. Developers have said that they are working on adding in more traps as the game goes further in early access, so that's certainly something we could see more. And at least from my point of view, I don't know if there is a quote-unquote endgame or late-game trap configuration or systems. Basically, by the end of my play of the game, I made it literally to the bottom of the entire underground. And there were late-game materials in the form of depleted, I think it was radiation or plutonium, but there didn't seem to be anything as kind of like your grand super reward. And unless you get some kind of like super unlock for maxing out your traps, which could very well be a case, it just felt like I was building the same things from beginning to end. And as I said, while I do like the systems here, I feel like there needs to be more of a connection between them. Something that allows you to, I think, have more of an interaction. This is one of those games that within the first 30 minutes to an hour of play, you're going to see the extent of the gameplay loops, and then it's just a matter of scaling things up from there. I would have loved to have seen, again, like more upgrades that unlock new content, more trap integration, and even just more things you can do in the underground layer. The various bunkers do provide some form of hunting things down, but they are still very limited. With that said, at this moment, I did enjoy my time with Barricades. The fact that it is kind of set up as a tower defense / crafting game, minus the tower defense, does give it a unique hook compared to some of the other games that we've played. And hopefully you'll be able to enjoy my onboarding and more design analysis video where we'll talk more about how to get into the game, and I hope the developers will take notes from that in terms of improving the playability of it. And I'm curious to see where the game will go as it continues its early access. I haven't seen, at least from when I started playing the game, anything new in terms of kind of the general gameplay improvements, such as, again, new traps, new features in the underground, etc., etc. And I do feel that there is potential here. Let me know what you think if you have played the game in the comments below, especially if you did manage to get further into the game or saw the current end game, as I'm wondering, or I'm curious as to what else do they throw at you. I would like to thank developers for not only giving me a press key, but also sponsoring this video and our next piece. So, like I said, this is kind of our consumer-minded one, and stay tuned coming real soon for our more design or trade video, focusing more on how to play the game and a more detailed examination of the design loops. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. And as always, if you'd like to submit a game for a first look or a sponsored piece, definitely don't hesitate to get in touch. But until next time, this has been Barricades, and talk to everyone again real soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoy things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.